Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the folks at Fast Frame. And at Fast Frame, they make your art look better than it did when you bought it. Let's take a look at this print that they've got right here. It's a pretty print to begin with, white boat on a nice big blue sea right there. But what you notice is they decide, let's put this big white mat around it. Let's make the mat white. And what that does, it makes the sand pop, it makes the boat pop. And then they went with kind of a weathered wood frame to where it kind of gives it an overall island feel. Whatever you've got, trust me, you take it to Fast Frame, they will make it look better coming out than it did going in. Fast Frame. All right, guys, we're going to talk about the SEC West schools. Chuck's already got the little light held up. We're going to talk about the West in this segment. I want to know if these are commodities and you're all investors. You're buying stock in one of these schools and holding on to it for 10 years. Can't pull your money out for 10 years. So 2024, you're buying today. 2024 is what you're going to pull it out. Who would you buy stock in?
I think Bob kind of hit on it a little bit with the Kevin Sumlin and the Texas and the talent that is in that state, and having a young coach that's already proven, what he can do. He's been at Houston. He's been at A&M. I would buy quite a bit of stock in Texas A&M, and I'd strike it big.
All right.
I'm going to go with Chuck. I would buy stock in Texas A&M. Alabama, I think, is the obvious answer, but Alabama has shown that it can have some pretty bad declines in there. Now, Texas A&M's had some as well, but I'm going to go with Texas A&M.
I always thought Texas A&M was a gold mine. It was LSU pre-Saban.
Yes.
You've got all the talent there. You've got an incredible fan base. You're now going to have the biggest stadium in the Southeastern Conference this year. In the middle of their construction, it's actually going to be 106,000, biggest stadium, maybe the biggest in the country at that point. But I think Texas A&M is a program that could be good for a long, long time. They do have the young coach. The reason I would take Alabama out, two things. One, Alabama has a rather long history with the NCAA. Yep. Okay, I don't think Saban's cheating, but who knows about boosters and that kind of thing. The other deal is, when Bear Bryant left, they struggled to find another guy. When Stallings left, they struggled to find another guy. I don't know that anybody's going to walk in there and find replacing Nick Saban as too easy. Auburn is another guy with Gus Malzahn, but if you're going to worry about NCAA possibilities at Bama, that's the most penalized team in the SEC. So I'm going Texas A&M like everybody else. Mike Strange.
3 minutes ago, I was sitting here thinking, boy, I'm going to surprise everybody and take Texas A&M. I did, but I agree. It's a gold mine, the resources, and you don't have the Auburn, Alabama fighting over in-state recruits as much. I know you got Texas to deal with out there, the Longhorns, but I just feel like with recruiting, facilities, the money they've got, long-term future for Texas A&M, I think looks great.
I agree. That's pretty strong. All four of us went Texas A&M. What about negative? Whose stock would you not touch?
I wouldn't touch Mississippi State. I would worry a lot about Ole Miss and Arkansas as long as Brett Bielema's there. I just think they're on a downward spiral.
Good Lord. Watch him go 10-2 this year. Mississippi State, for me, is history-based.
Yes.
They're worst the only team worse traditionally is Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Mississippi State would be mine.
Actually, kind of surprised Dan Mullen is still there with some of the things and the success Ole Miss is having, especially in recruiting.
Yeah, that's not good for them.
That doesn't help at all.
But Mississippi State's in top 10 right now in terms of commitments, according to Rivals.
But also it tells you where Mississippi State's been, that Mullen's been able to survive as long as he has where they're doing.
Well, again, as we've discussed, that's a program where some of the fans are split. It's like, look, this is as good as it's going to get. Let's be happy.
Right.
Mike Strange, where would you not go?
I would not go to Arkansas. I think it's a state with a limited recruiting base. They've got a great history, but I just think it's fragile. And with Texas A&M on that side of the league now, it's even tougher for Arkansas to do what they want to do.
Because Arkansas does want to go in
and Arkansas recruits in Texas.
Yes.
And you've got the Aggies in the SEC now.
Well, I think Missouri being in the SEC doesn't help Arkansas a great deal either.
Well, what it's going to do is it's going to lift their program a little bit, and probably Arkansas gets a lot of players out of Oklahoma. You wonder if Missouri is going to be able to take any of those out. So, interesting. Arkansas, Mississippi State as the low ones there, and no mention whatsoever of LSU. I think Saban built it, but they struggled for 20 years. But Saban built it. Miles has maintained it. I don't know who replaces Miles, but that's a good talent base down there,
LSU's got a lot of the Texas A&M
Yes.
things going for it,
Yeah.
but I just think Texas A&M still has a lot of untapped potential. Whereas LSU, I think you kind of know what you've got.
I will say that your plus for LSU is you don't have a bunch of schools in state. You're not worrying about Monroe and Lafayette and Tulane at the moment. So that I think would be a positive. But okay, when we come back, buying futures in the SEC East. We'll look at the East Division, which programs are on the upswing, which ones would we not want to touch. Come on back on the Sports Source.